For more than 130 years, Catholics of this beautiful region of the Hurunui in North Canterbury, north of Christchurch, New Zealand, have been gathering here in this place to celebrate the sacraments, for the regular celebration of the Mass, for baptisms, for weddings and for funerals. In the early 1880s, if you'd asked the Catholics of this region why they were building their new church or where they were building it, they would have said, we're building a place where God can live among us, and we're building it on this particular piece of land that was owned by the church. But they would have known in some way too that a Catholic church is not simply another earthly building, but it is a place that in a way brings heaven to earth, because this is where God lives. They would have known that a Catholic church is in some way a foyer, we could say, a narthex of heaven. And so that we know as Catholics that when we pass through the doors of a church, we're moving from the routine, mundane demands of life into a place of privileged encounter with God, a place where heaven and earth intersect, where they meet. And so that's why we move into a Catholic church. We are different. We behave in a different way. We take time before the Mass begins to be still and silent, to pray. Sometimes it's helpful to have a reminder of this silence and stillness before Mass, to invite people into a place of prayer, a place where they're ready to meet God. And I was reminded of this very powerfully here in this church a few years ago. I was meeting the people as they arrived 10, 15 minutes before Mass. The first to arrive were John and Edith. They had been married for well over 60 years and were in their 90s. They walked through the door of this church where they'd gathered every Sunday. The church in which they had been married, they go to the front seat and they kneel there and pray. And I took this image. I was so moved, I just picked up my phone and took this photo of them in prayer. I wonder what they were doing. Maybe they were saying formal prayers, some Our Fathers or Hail Marys. But I would imagine that for most of the 60 years when they had done this as newlyweds and with their young family, and then in later years when they'd come here as a couple living on their own, I imagine that they were mostly, they would say, distracted. Their minds would have been all over the place, as in the first moments of stillness and silence they had in the day, or maybe even in some of those weeks, their reality came to mind. Their anxieties, maybe their children, the farming situation, all of this stuff would have flooded their minds. What a wonderful way to pray. This is not distraction at all. This is allowing our own reality to come into our consciousness so that the reality of God, the full reality of Jesus Christ, and our own reality can meet in this experience and in this Mass. And so I encourage you, the next time you enter a Catholic church, to be still, to be silent, maybe to try to pray in ways that you're familiar with, but even in the stillness and silence, to just relax, to let the reality of your life come into your consciousness. Not to worry too much about what that reality is, but to know that in this Mass, God, in Jesus Christ, is coming not only to you, but in the Eucharist, into you. What a wonderful experience this is. What a wonderful event that happens every time we celebrate the Mass.